Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett, and tonight our very special guest, Rach. How you doing, Rach? What's going on? How was your week so far?
So far, so good. I feel like it went by so fast this week. Like, I feel like last week was such a dragged on week. But I really do feel like when the Packers win, it's just like an overall good week. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like it went very smooth this week.
I definitely walk into work on Monday with like a extra pep in my step. It's a victory Monday for sure, and it does carry through the week to a degree. So I totally get that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was kind of walking on air because I actually got to go see the game in person. And I know. And then I didn't come home till Monday. I came home. I traveled. It wasn't like a super long travel. It was like a two-hour travel, but came home. But it was like in the middle of the afternoon. So I felt like Tuesday was still Victory Monday. Like kind of just.
It was.
It goes throughout the whole week, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It should be a victory week.
A victory week.
So.
I think too, and I feel sorry for Robert Saleh, but I just realized when I said that to you guys, I think I'm super happy that that we're not dealing with that too. So that whole kind of
that drama
that team has, right. And so that probably makes me feel super happy too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot.
Yeah.
That was shocking.
Oh, it really? Yeah. I think
it's out of nowhere. Yeah. A lot of people were saying like, oh, they could have, like, they thought it was going to happen at the end of the season, maybe, depending on how things went. And I always felt like, I don't know, man. I mean, like, he didn't have Rodgers last year, and so now he's trying to get things together for that. And the defense has looked amazing on that team all season, and he's like the defensive guru. And you go and you kick him out of the building, like, I don't know. That's crazy to me. I think that must be a poorly run team. I think it's probably safe to say.
Something's going on. Yeah, something's going on with that owner and all that, and who knows what else. But we won't speculate. I have fun blaming a certain someone for everything just for the fun of it, but I won't do that on our show.
I mean, Dawn, when that one person is at the center of like the weirdest controversies and the biggest drama in the league, like common denominator, just saying.
Right, with a habit of not quite telling the truth all the time.
But he's immunized. What?
Yeah, right. Anyhow, so that, but I don't want to be dancing on Robert Saleh's grave. But from what I've heard about it today, because I really didn't focus on that much, but you can't help but hear stuff. He'll get a good job. He'll get a good job. People value him. He's going to be okay. And I also heard him that he said that he was just going to take the rest of the season off.
Which he should, honestly. He's getting paid like $60,000 a day or something ridiculous like that. It's some crazy number I heard this week.
Yeah, so he
do nothing. So
gets to keep his money. Yeah, so that's why not?
His contract is fully guaranteed. So
Oh, there we go.
I would take advantage of it.
Sure, take some time off. Be with the family. He's got like 5 kids, right?
Oh. They got 20,000 is what Joe's saying in the chat here, perhaps. Whatever it is, it's more money than most of us make. What he makes in a week will be more than most of us make in a year. And he can go play with his kids, maybe learn to play the flute, pick up some kind of like painting hobbies, maybe sculpture. He might start his own like band, who knows? He has time to just live a life of leisure and pursuing hobbies. So good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, a job like that is a job where you do need time to decompress too, because it's not like a 9 to 5. It's like he doesn't get to see his family a lot during the season, no doubt. It's always hard to make plans to do anything fun. I mean, even it seems like LaFleur, He takes maybe a 2-week vacation and goes somewhere with his family, but he's like always there at Lambeau. Always. He's not gone very much at all. So it's got to be. I mean, of course, I had a career where I did what I loved, so I didn't really feel like I was working all the time. But it's still it's still exhausting when you're working way more than a human should, which I did too.
Way more than a human.
We're not built for that. Anywho, yeah. So it was a great week. Well, Rach, we're really looking forward to getting to know you a little better. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for spending a little time with us at halftime. And we're just going to do our normal quick little interview and see how this goes. Hopefully we won't make you uncomfortable in any way. So maybe I should try.
So far, so good. And I want to thank you guys for having me. It's an honor, truly. Thank you.
Of course. We like to interview Packer fans, anyone who loves the Packers, people who work in, who cover the Packers, any of it, other content creators, which of course is what we talk about every week, the best content we can find, generally about the Packers, but sometimes off topic a little. But it's really nice to just get a Packer super fan on, too. So we don't get this enough. And we like to, just for those who are listening and aren't aware of this, we love it if you want to nominate yourself or nominate someone to be interviewed on our show. That's right. So that everybody can get to know you better. You can get to know everybody better. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. So Rach, how are you feeling about the Packers so far this season? What are your thoughts?
So far, I feel like I think they're going to be okay.
Yes.
By my tweets, a lot of the time, I don't think it changes a lot throughout the game. I feel I go from one extreme to the other, which is something I think I need to work on. But especially during the Vikings game, I was all over the place. That game it was like an emotional roller coaster. I was everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a blowout. And then all of a sudden, the second half, I'm like, wait a minute, there's hope. We can actually win this. And it was so close. So everything I said in the first half, I was just like, oh, that's a whole different Rachel. Like, I don't even just disregard that. That was first half Rach. This is second half where I'm a little bit more hopeful.
Well, that's definitely the experience of that game was absolutely like two different lives, two different teams, two different experiences entirely. So yeah, I mean, as much as like it's good to strive to be like Jordan Love, just be even keeled and just take every down fresh. How do you not get super emotional with that game especially? Definitely, it was a crazy game.
Yeah, that game, and it was like a whole different game the second half. So it's okay if it's a whole different Rach the second half.
I appreciate that.
So where do you watch your games from? Are you from Wisconsin? Are you Wisconsinite?
As badly as I wish I was, no. No, I live in Illinois.
Ooh.
Yeah. I grew up in the Chicagoland suburbs. So it's a little rough.
Yeah.
It's a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm in, Bears territory here.
Sure.
So it's a little intense. Then that's putting it lightly. Well, especially back in 2010, I want to say. That was very intense. But yeah, I now live in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. So yeah, still in Illinois.
Wow, surrounded by fans.
Yeah, behind enemy lines for sure, right? And I lived in Chicago for 6 years, and I found that when I wore Packers stuff, it was definitely during a period when the Bears were like no good. They couldn't say anything to me. I was like, "What are you gonna like try to come at me with this?" It was like, "Come on." But I always had good experiences, I will say, with Bears fans. Personally, southwest suburbs of Chicago is kind of near where I used to work when I was down there too. So probably I'm, if we talked afterwards or whatever about like some of the hoods that you're in and stuff like that, I'd probably know a lot of them. But I actually taught in Hazelcrest and Markham, which is more straight south.
Okay, yes.
But yeah, love the suburbs.
Yes. I do like it here. I do like it here, of course. But I don't know. I've always wanted to live in Wisconsin because of the Packers, I will say. And I know my dad has too. So him and we always joke, like, if we win the lottery, like, we're going to Green Bay. Like, that's where we're going. We're going to buy a house right by Lambeau Field. We always joke about that. But it's a good, aspiration to have.
That's right.
I would say.
But at least you're not super, super far away, because I'm like way out on the West Coast. So at least you can drive to a game once in a while.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's, what is it? Depending on who's driving. It's a 3.5 hour drive. Again, depending on who's driving.
Right.
So I made record time. I felt like George Costanza at one point where, he's like, I'm making excellent timing. That was me when I drove to a game in Green Bay. But that is the luxury of living so close, is that I have been to I'm 8-1-1 with games.
Ooh,
so
okay.
A decent record.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pretty
well,
decent. Yeah.
We might need you to go to not this next game, because I think we've got pretty good chance, but the next one at Lambeau after, which
Texans?
is
Yep.
Yeah.
Could be a good one to be at. I was hoping to go to the Texans ones, but actually I found out recently I'm going to the one this weekend, you guys. I'll be up there for the Texans game.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Getting in the car tomorrow morning and driving up. In fact, just to make it about me for a second. One of my cousins who I haven't seen in, I don't know, 10 years or something, who lives in California, is coming out. So to see it with him, my cousin Brad, remember we had on the show, Don?
Yes, Brad.
And he's sitting next to my dad, which is gonna be awesome.
Oh,
and so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that's wonderful, Maddie.
Oh, that's fun. That's so much fun.
That's great.
Super
so the show has represented them. Will represent 2 games in a row in person.
That's right.
So,
Rach, your dad, he lives in Illinois, but he's a Packer fan too. He went to
Yes, he is. He's someone who brainwashed me, really.
Okay.
And I think it is brainwashing, because I did not have a choice at all. So, but to become a Packers fan.
If you're from Wisconsin, you don't. I'm originally from near Chicago, Racine, Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's right over the border. And I didn't really like football much, but I grew up with it, of course, and everybody around me loved it. And then when I decided I needed to love football, it was Packers, of course. I wouldn't have had a choice anyway.
No.
See, that's exactly how it is. Ironically, my dad, he grew up in the UP for sure.
Oh, okay.
So he's a Uper.
Nice.
And I guess how he came about becoming a Packers fan is that when they would come visit Chicago, they would go through Green Bay, and they would always go past Lambeau Field, and my dad would be plastered up against the wall, or against the window, oh wow, how wonderful, how cool. And I mean, he grew up during the Lombardi, he missed the Lombardi era, but he became a fan right after that, and the rest is history. So then when they moved here, he was a Packers fan. When I was born, nobody was going to touch me and have me become a Bears fan. No way.
Oh, no.
No way.
No, especially the Bears. I mean, it'd be one thing if you were in a state a little farther away. Yeah, and especially the Bears.
Oh, no. That would have been, no, not allowed. Not allowed.
You would have been disowned.
So, Rach, what are some of your earliest memories of watching the Packers with? Is it with your dad, or your dad and your mom? Or is it really just the dad, or?
My mom, she likes football to a certain extent. But I mean, she was always there to watch the Packers with us. She would just, she's kind of emotional support, I would say, during the game.
Nice.
Whereas me and my dad would be super emotionally invested. Probably one of my earliest memories that I can recall was when I was very young. I must have been 7 or 8, and I was watching the game with my dad. I can't recall which game, but I could not get what does 1st and 8 mean, or or 2nd and 8 mean? What does this mean? I don't understand. And my dad's trying to explain it to me. I just right over my head, and my dad's just focus and watch it, and you'll learn. it's something I can't really explain. It's just something you have to sit, watch, and then kind of comprehend.
Right.
And plus, I mean, let's be honest. I was asking during the Packers game. He's probably just like, please.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Just
wrong timing. Just watch. Just focus. You'll get it.
Right.
And he worked super weird hours. So that game with Favre, where he just, after he lost his dad.
Oh.
Classic.
That is the game that I recall watching. And I'm like, okay, I'm really going to focus and like pay attention and learn. And that is the game where I learned what the downs were and what that meant. And I was like, my dad woke up. I was like, I know what you mean now. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
He's just like, see, just sit and watch. Like, that's all you have to do. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
So that's my earliest memory.
Yeah. What a memorable, exciting game to start to latch onto it. Like, if it's like getting potted into really, really good soil, you know, it's like, this is the thing that's going to start like you're really grasping onto it. This really fun game. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yes. It was a wonderful game. It was touching, obviously, looking back now knowing what I know, but it was really touching. I've been very lucky throughout the years of being a Packer fan. So I can definitely acknowledge I've been spoiled. Whereas my dad's kind of like, okay, hang on tight, kiddo. Like when they're bad, you're not going to know how to respond. Whereas he lived through like the 70s and 80s, and he's kind of like,
right.
I've been there, done that. I know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Your dad lived through the lean years and stayed a fan, which is very impressive.
That's right.
Honestly, he's great.
I love that. Hey to Dad, hope you're listening. To either the podcast or the replay of this. Thanks for bringing Rach into the Packers world for us all to enjoy. We love that. So Rach is on Twitter, Rach Marie with 2 I's, Marie. And her profile says, my dad brainwashed me to be a Packers fan straight out of the womb. So he is a Wisconsinite, and then did he have like a home he grew up in the UP, and then as an adult
he came to Chicago.
He moved okay.
Yeah. He came as a kid. Well, grew up, I want to say like what? Oh my gosh, he's gonna listen, but like that's wrong. He was very young when he came from the UP to Chicago. I know he came because his dad, my grandpa, needed to find work, so that's where he found work in Chicago. Right. But my dad's been a Packer fan in Chicago for a majority of his life. Right.
And what about Grandpa?
Grandpa, according to Dad, didn't really care about football.
Interesting.
Didn't really care. He taught him and his brothers and everybody to play football and that, but was not a super fan. Whereas my dad became a super fan.
That's wonderful. So Rachel, one of the other is there any like anything about your fandom that you want everyone to know that might not know if is it something that you do during games or eat during games, or do you like to watch alone, or do you have to be with a group? What's your any little secrets about Rach that we need to know, Packers related or otherwise?
I feel like I can. I like to watch the game with my dad and my mom.
Nice.
Those are like the 2 exceptions. No offense to my boyfriend. We've been to Packers games together. He's a Bears fan, but
okay, all right.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So during Packer games, I do like to watch them alone. So if they do bad, I can just tweet it out and kind of mope in peace.
Right.
Or silently, or like call my dad and be like, can you believe what just happened? Like, what's going on? I did make the mistake years ago. It was actually during the NFC championship game against the Bears, where I decided, I was like, I'm going to have people over, Dad. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be Bears fans. And like, me, who's a Packer fan. And my dad's like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, it's going to be fun. Like, it'll be great. Yeah. I like went out during halftime. I was like, Dad, I can't do this. Like, this is like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's just like, you got to go back. Like, you got to entertain. Like, I warned you. I warned you not to do this. You have to stick it out. And I was just like, damn it. Like, all right. Luckily it all worked out, but I learned my lesson the hard way, where now I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I can yell and swear in peace.
Right. Especially if you're surrounded by Bears fans. Like, if those are most of your choices, I suppose, where you live.
Yeah.
That would really help you become a I'll watch the games alone kind of girl.
Yes. I know that they have like watching events in the Chicagoland area, especially when it's Packers Bears. You'll not catch me there. I cannot.
Right.
It sounds like fun. It does.
Right.
But oh no, I couldn't.
Yeah. I've done a couple of those where like first game of this season, but not very often. I'm kind of with you on that. It's like I need to just be alone with my emotions and my
Yes. I need to just decompress by myself.
Yeah. And Maddie, you're pretty much alone. And of course I have people tweeting or messaging me. I've got usually a million people messaging me, too much sometimes. Like,
I mean, nobody else in my family likes to watch football at all. My kids don't. My wife definitely doesn't. So I'm usually here at my computer watching it, or if it happens to be on TV, I'll watch it there. But the whole time I'm always texting with my dad. So part of the reason why I'm looking forward to sitting next to him at the game this week is I can just talk to him. He'll just be right there. But it is like watching it with him, because we are like, communicating the whole time through the games. But of course, also I'm on Twitter the whole time as well, like reading people's takes and chiming in and stuff like that. Which it's like watching the game with the whole Packers online community, which is fun.
Yeah, I only get on Twitter a little bit. Like, it's pretty. I'm selective about. Usually, I just want to say something and then get off, and nobody cares what I say. I don't care. I just had to get it out, right? Okay. Joe has a question for you, Rach. Is it Star Wars or Star Trek? There is a right answer according to Joe.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, if I'm being honest, and I mean, I'm pretty transparent. Not super familiar with Star Trek, so I'd have to go with Star Wars, because that is something I am familiar with.
All right.
Reasonable. Yep.
All right. It's funny. Last weekend when I was in LA for the game, I actually went for the whole thing, like, whoa, the whole experience. And wow. And also the Padres. So I'm from San Diego. So the San Diego Padres were playing the Dodgers in LA. So that was going on, and Comic-Con was going on. That's just the Star Trek and the Star Wars thing made me think of that, because there are all these people walking around like either baseball theme, of course, football, and so that was a trip. It just added a lot of color to the weekend, to that, at least Friday night, Saturday night. Yeah. Okay, Rach, well, two more. Okay, and Iowa Joe says, okay, I think we can accept her based on your answer.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
You're in, Rach.
All right. So two final questions that we love to ask every guest. Let me see. I didn't write them down this time, Maddie. Let's see if I can remember. What is one thing you love the most about Packers Twitter? It's a two-part question. The second part, and I can repeat the second part if you forget. The second part is, what is the thing that you least like about Twitter and that you would change if you had the power to do so?
Sorry, I'm trying to think.
That's okay.
Okay. The thing I love the most is the community. I love that. Also, a lot of people on Twitter, very supportive. Even outside of just the Packers, Like it's a wonderful support. It's not something you find every day. I really think it's a tight-knit community. And I think that's something very special. Something that I think or wish I could change in a sense is I feel like there can be negativity, and if you don't agree with somebody's opinion, it can be very tense, for lack of a better word, where, you know, which I totally understand because I have some opinions that might be considered hot takes, so I totally get it. But sometimes it can create negativity, not chaos, but tension, for lack of a better word. But that's not very often. I know I would say, I think around the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, that's kind of when, you know, people were either like, you're for Rodgers or like against him. So that's when he went to Jets, that's kind of when tensions were high, where it's like, well, he caused drama, like you should, but that was understandable. So, I mean, there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of layers to the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
Oh, yes.
It's a complicated fella, you know.
It's a complicated, yeah. Well, you know, I know I've been more critical of him now that he's gone. I tried not to say anything, at least out in the open, too much. Certainly not on this show or on Twitter about him while he was playing for us. And my position was, well, whatever the team decides. So when they decided that he was going to go somewhere else, it seemed like it was time. I mean, it seemed like he wanted to be gone, like it was over. It was like the relationship was over. So, but I really didn't say, I was kind of relieved and about all the drama wasn't there anymore. But yeah, and then when he does really obnoxious, like when he lies and says stuff, then I've been a little bit more vocal lately about it. And it's like with the thing that happened with Salah, I was like, I don't care what happened. Let's just blame Rodgers because it's fun.
And it's, you know, there's a pattern. There's a pattern of behavior.
There's a pattern, but I wouldn't. I mean, I've said a few little things on other people's posts, or I probably reposted some stuff, but it's like, then I kind of like hit and run and then I'm done with it.
That's relatable. That is relatable. Some things I write, I like toss my phone. I'm like, okay, well, that's for like later on. Later on, Rachel, deal with it. Not, super hyper Rachel. Not right now. Like now's not the time.
So a thing that Dawn and I noticed is that everybody has a slightly different answer for that question, which is why we have kept it in for everybody we talk to. Yeah. And there's a thing you said there, Rach, that really interested me. I think you said, when somebody says something negative, it's almost like there's a pressure to agree with them a lot of the time. And you can see how that kind of plays out. And it's like, you know, I never would have put it that way, but it's like, no, I think you're totally right. I think you're onto something there. That does happen if the smallest little, you know, grain of sand gets into like the game plan and how we think things are supposed to go. So I think that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Thank you.
I'm going to look at it differently too. There's some drama going on within some of the YouTube content creators for the other show that I do, the legal stuff, and between people, and it's like, oh boy, I'm not saying one word. I'm not saying one word on, you know, because it's like I've always taken the position in life. It's like I want to support everybody. I mean, unless you do something really boneheaded, then okay, then I'll go after you. But even then, it's like I don't feel like it's my place to, you know, go after people. So, and Joe says he loves the drama. Well, then you would love the true crime community right now.
Get involved, Joe.
Knives out. Oh my goodness, yeah.
I'm all for the drama when it's not included in the like with the Packers, like everything going on with the Jets. I will watch it unfold.
So great.
I'll watch it unfold. Right. I'll, you know, Pat McAfee. I was waiting for it, but I mean, when it comes to Packers, I'm like, oh man, like,
yeah,
it could stay over there. I'm not going to deal with it.
Totally.
Nope.
Not our problem. Hey, Aaron, good to see you here in the chat, friend. Happy to have you on board today.
She knows. Maybe she knows one of my superlatives is about Aaron Ellis. Oh my
stick
God.
around. Don't say stuff about you.
Good timing. Okay, so any final thoughts before we let you go? Again, we really appreciate that you have decided to come on our show, and it was kind of like cold turkey, like surprise. So
Thank
we
you.
love it. We really got. It's really nice to see people face to face or hear their voices, because we only see them typing, right? We only read their words. And so it just brings another dimension. And since you appreciate the community so much, especially you, that I think that it's just really great that you have lended your voice to the August 1st book, so to speak. So yeah, anything you want to say to Dad? Shout out to Dad.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. I mean, my mom would, I have to give her a shout out because she would dress me in Packer stuff. So,
oh my gosh, that was the other question. Oh my gosh, I blew it. The second question that we ask everybody is, who would you like to shout out and thank for helping you do what you do for the Packers community, whatever that is, being a great Twitter follow or, just being a great fan. So it sounds like Mom, Dad, your Bears boyfriend, anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mom, Dad. Yeah, like I said, Dad brainwashed me. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be nearly this level of a super fan. Also my boyfriend, I will say, because he supports my craziness, for lack of better words.
Good.
When it's football season, I think I take it a little bit more personally than he does. When Packers lose, he's like, okay, well, she might be in a mood, and that's okay. That's okay. And I totally recognize that I do get in moods after they lose a little bit, where I'm like, I need to, I listen to a post-game show. I'm like, yeah, I agree with this person, and like, I agree with this person. But then, he also, he's been to Lambeau Field with me a couple times.
Oh, cool.
So he's supportive. He loves it. He also loves it there. So
see, how could you not? How could you not?
Yes, he loves it there. Yeah. He's always shocked by like how nice everybody is and how much fun the tailgates can be, and just even when he's there and all his bear crap, they're still nice to him, and they give him a hard time, but it's all in good fun, and he really enjoys that as well. So it kind of brings us together that way too. So I appreciate him for that too.
I appreciate him too. Thank you, boyfriend. That's awesome.
Way to be supportive. That's good stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe one day he'll, change teams.
Oh, I've tried.
That's a big ask, Dawn. Getting people to change their fandom, that's very difficult.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Yeah.
Especially after well, he did mention a couple things last year when the Bears were on a, downward spiral. Where he's just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like every year I get, excited and they suck. And I'm just like, well, I can tell you which team to go root for where maybe you don't have that problem as much. And he's like, I can't do that. I'm like, all right, I respect that too. I respect the loyalty. So
that's right.
Yeah, there's something said for like, having that loyalty to a team, I think can also show as loyalty to the people you love, right? So potentially good trait in a boyfriend.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. Absolutely. So I can't knock him for that at all.
There you go.
Well,
and it's interesting because again, what happened this week with Saleh and the Jets, it's like, we talk about it a lot on this show. I particularly appreciate a well-run organization. The fact that we don't have some billionaire owner who on a whim will just make some kind of crazy decision and just wreak havoc. The Jets have been dealing with this kind of craziness for a long, long time. And I know the Bears went through coaching changes and management changes too. So I think that the Packers, at least from what I can tell, provide a little bit more stability. It's not that we're always going to win, but we know it's a well-run organization, and we don't have to worry about a lot of things that all the other teams basically in the entire league have to worry about. So
that's right.
Yeah. I think, in a way that also contributes to me being spoiled, because it's like we don't have to worry about that stuff. And I, even to reference my boyfriend, like even he complains about like the ownership and the organization and stuff with the Bears. And I'm like, I can't relate. We have it pretty good.
Couldn't be us.
No. It's been, we have it lucky.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
So lucky.
And the Packers online community has it lucky to have people like you, Rach, because I didn't get to say nice things about you on air. We were talking about it before. I just want to say that, I'm going to say what I said beforehand here, basically, that Dawn and I have been following you forever on Twitter. We love the tweets you put out there. Always a lot of fun, a lot of good takes, a lot of good emotions. And so, just to kind of put a bow on it, folks, if you're not following Rach on Twitter, it's RACHMARIIE. You probably already are following her. I wouldn't be surprised if you were. Everyone's doing it, people. Make sure you're following her too. She's awesome. I also make sure I said that before we got any further. We love you, Rach. You're awesome.
We do love you and appreciate you coming on. And so those are your final thoughts, right? So you want to jam or okay. So we're gonna let you jam. We're gonna stay on for a couple more minutes to do our superlatives. But again, hi mom, hi dad, hi Bear's boyfriend. And
thank you guys.
Okay, have a good night, Rachel.
Thanks, you as well. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Oh, she was just darling. My goodness, that was great. Great talking to her.
She's the best. And M. Christine lives in Florida.
Oh, Ocala. Yeah.
She said she just got power and cell service back. Yay! I'm so glad. So glad. Yeah, I'm glad you missed the worst part. I mean, you still got a lot of storm though right there in the middle of Florida. I mean, everybody had, it's like the whole state was dealing with a hurricane. It wasn't just parts. Minor, compared to, I'm sure, a lot of others. Yeah, I had a lot of friends there, different parts of Florida I was worried about. So far, everyone's coming out okay. All right, Maddie. So you want to hear my superlatives?
I do, but before you do, I just want to highlight Erin's comment here in the chat. She said, grateful for our amazing ginger sledding king running things. I can't put it on because Dawn kicked me off of the StreamYard team by accident this week, so I can't put comments up myself. Okay, yeah, exactly, Erin. I think it's Mark Murphy has been a steady hand, and like we've always had somebody good steering the ship for the Packers, and we love Mark Murphy.
We love him, our ginger sledding king running things. And soon a new one, and
policy. The policy era will
Mr. Policy. I always know it starts with a P and it's an actual word, but I always forget it's policy.
So superlatives, Dawn. You said you want to start?
Yeah, I'm gonna just run through mine and let you run through yours, and then we'll go back to the game. So since she's here, most succinct goes to our own Erin Alice on Twitter. And she was responding to a post by someone, I forgot who, and I'll just read it. Hassan, get your car, and this was, you'll understand. Hassan, get in your car, drive down 95 and come to the New York #Jets. And we can meet you and give you an escort right into the building. That was a quote, I believe, Tuesday by Woody Johnson on Hassan Reddick, who remains a holdout. And Erin succinctly replied, we can give you an escort right into the building because our escort team is still at the curb since we just dragged Sala out like a drunk guy at the bar. It's great here.
It's great. Nice.
Gosh. I read that like 3 times, laughed every time. Super, well said. I mean, who could say it better than that? Joe Joe, don't ruin her moment. There were many tweets that, of course, as always with Erin. Okay, so I'm just going to gush a little about my weekend. Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear all about it. I want to hear all about it, Dawn.
Well, I won't tell you all about it, but I have some superlatives. I will tell you all about it offline. Okay, most satisfying. This is another superlative. Most satisfying stadium and game. I didn't say it's the best stadium, but it was quite satisfying. So first of all, SoFi, this is all about SoFi Stadium. I got to go to the game. I've been wanting to go to this stadium in particular, really an architecture slut. The American Institute.
I didn't see that. I didn't know that's how you said it was going to go, Dawn. That was a surprise to me.
I didn't know. I don't know why I said that. I'm tired. The American Institute of Architects, AIA. I always dreamed about being an architect and getting an award from them, but never mind. It's announced that a 2024 AIA Architecture Award has been presented to SoFi Stadium and Hollywood Park, the 298-acre sports and entertainment complex in Inglewood, a suburb of LA. HKS is the architecture firm, served as the architect and collab with Studio MLA as the landscape architect in this landmark project. This was, if you don't know it, and I probably will say this more than once, a 4-year, $5 billion architectural wonder. And I enjoyed it. I didn't even get to see all of it, but I enjoyed what I could. And they also, they've won several awards. There was another one, they were an honor winner in Architects 2022 Architecture and Interiors Awards. For sports and recreation. So yeah, they've got many awards. Those were a couple that I picked up on. So if you want to know who was the SoFi Stadium architect, there was a great article, and they might have shared parts of this on another show a while back because I was always really into that stadium. But here's some different parts to it. So this was from an LA Times article, very well written, of course. But it is interesting because it was a team of 8 dozen architects.
Wow.
Right? I guess that one went over my head, and designers led by Lance Evans. So he'd be like the chief architect. But can you imagine? I mean, you can if you've been there. It's like they probably all had certain parts, but it doesn't look like anything was separated, but it was quite the architectural feat. And I did not know that many architects worked on it, but it makes sense because of the way everything is. It's like everything is floating and on cables, and it's so airy, but it's actually not technically enclosed, but you feel like you're in a stadium, but it's open air. Super cool. So another thing from this article, SoFi is a stadium that takes transitional spaces and turns them into a main event. Walkways, stairs, bridges, and escalators continuously offer strategic slivers of view toward the field. Also the Jumbotron and terrace gardens and the general city environments. So particularly dramatic is the northern entrance of Touchdown Drive, where the ride-hailing drop-off point is located, and that's where I watched the game from.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah, that's the pictures that I. So you just walk in, you're ground level, but the stadium is underground.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yes. And then its landscape and this is really interesting the way they put it. Its landscape isn't a sad afterthought, but integral to the venue's sinuous architecture by global firm HKS, as well as environs. Mia Lair and her team at Studio MLA, the LA-based firm she founded, are behind the meticulous landscape design for the stadium and its adjacent lake park. So blah, blah, blah about them. So I spent probably a good hour just at the lake outside. And it's not that it's like, it's just it's like the kind of architecture I really like. It's super spare and modern and industrial, but it was so light and airy. There's also a really great, and I put this in our show notes. You can have a couple pictures there, Maddie, from Architect Magazine. There's some really nice images, and then the breakdown of the layers of the roof and how they all work. So there's like 35,000 of these aluminum panels. Of course, it creates this curved, it's not like they're straight. Even like, I love the titanium buildings that Frank Gehry does, but you can see the edges, which I like, but this is so smooth, right? They all have to fit together perfectly. And they're designed so that they resist the heat, but allow airflow.
Okay.
But there's light that's allowed through. Plus, there's all these other panels. I forgot what the type of plastic is. It's has to resist all that sun because the sun is so hot. But it's super light and airy. And one of the things I noticed, well, I'll get into this later, but anyway, there are 35,000 of these aluminum panels to create we call it a roof, but it's kind of like, I don't know, you have to see it to know what it is. It's kind of like walls and a roof. But in those panels, there are over, I think it's something like 30 million perforations. So they're done so strategically so that you're not hot inside, you're not cold. It's just, and they're not like, the perforations are not evenly dispersed, so it kind of gives you like this lacy organic look when you're looking up at it. So it's really cool. Anyway, so my personal takeaways were those panels, the number of panels with the millions of perforations, and the energy and the air distribution was just perfection. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold. And I was a little concerned because I'm super light sensitive, that I would like get a migraine and all that, and I didn't. And so even though it's super bright, it's not bright. It's just like this perfect lighting. And when you're in there, you feel like you're looking at a high definition video of the game. It's so clear. And there's literally not one bad seat in the house, no matter where you're sitting. So, and then of course the lake. I loved the lake, and it was full of like water. Oh, and then the other cool thing about the lake is they had their own designated lifeguard at this lake. I was just right. But also, like, if you went in there, I was looking, it's like, yeah, that'd be really hard if you like fell in and you were after, somebody was drinking or a kid fell in there. It's like, there's no slope. It's not like a lake where you walk out. It's all concrete, like straight up walls. So you could really die in there. And there's all these different layers with waterfalls and stuff. So it could be very dangerous. So I saw the lifeguard there and I was like, oh, serious. So my criticism would be the acoustics are a little bit tinny. So super loud stadium, but a little bit tinny, in my opinion. So I think they failed on that, but I don't know how they would get around that. But one of the things that I thought was great, and I love to see this, is parents bringing their kids to the game with the ear protection and things, and especially there, because that would be like really hard on little ones' ears. So
for sure.
So that
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I had a really good time, and of course we won, and that was great. There was some fun. I mean, it really was Packers West. The Go Pack Go chants. I don't know if you could hear it on the television, but and I was there for practice and everything, so we got there early, and Jamie did her tailgating. I walked over with her, kind of dropped her off there, and I was like, I'll see you later. Granny's gonna go walk around. And unfortunately I missed Jasmine.
I saw a picture of Jasmine with Jamie.
I kind of went off on my own, and then she couldn't catch up with me. Although I was close, they probably didn't realize how close I was to her entrance, but oh well. Yeah.
Shout out to Jasmine.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz, and of course Jamie. And Pepe LaFleur. I got to spend time with him. In fact, I need to put some pictures up on Twitter of him. So yeah, the game, it was really fun because there were a lot of people, like right in front of us, there was a big group of people, and it was every other one of them had a Packers jersey and a Rams jersey. It was like green, blue, and they were all together. And they were really, the Packers guy, like one of the Packers fans, was really expressive, shall we say. And so when the Packers were do anything, like the first down, he'd be like stand up and woo, you know, like right in his friend's like space. And then we had some Rams fans next to us, which I don't know how they got there because there were Packers fans earlier, but they were not appreciating him. And I thought, oh God, we're going to get in a fight. I just know it. Like we're in the middle of these guys. But it settled down. He was super funny. He was annoying to a lot of people. And he settled down after like the first quarter. He sat down and hung out with his wife and stuff. But it was a lot. I mean, there were green shirts, Packer jerseys everywhere. At first, I was like, are there any Rams fans here? But they did show up later. But the tailgating was like Packers tailgate times 100, times more than 100. It was so many tents. Like, it was huge. And there were Rams tailgaters, but there were more Packers than Rams. For sure.
I can believe that. I mean, I feel like it's such a part of the Packers fan culture, like especially at Lambeau, obviously. Even just like, you know, obviously not everybody who's a Packers fan is from Wisconsin, but it's such a tailgatey state, you know, that I think that even seeps out to anybody who is a fan who's not from Wisconsin or especially doesn't live in Wisconsin. So it just kind of makes sense to me that the tailgaters would be more Packers fans than Rams fans.
Well, it's just such a huge, like, there's so much space. You know, the other weird thing about that, by the way, I forgot to mention the Rams mariachi. You know, that is pretty awesome. The mariachi band, yeah. And they have their own designated stage. It was on the same floor as us. It may have been one down, but all the way across the opposite by the other field goal. And so, but they also have them up on the Jumbotron, and they're really good, and that's a fun thing. And we had a mariachi where the group was tailgating. There was a mariachi band like right across, so that was kind of fun too. So but people sang along to them, you know, tequila and all those types of stuff. Yeah, it was super fun. But the thing is, the stadium, I think it seats 70,000, but I looked up Lambeau and it said Lambeau seats 81,000.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And I felt like it was twice the size of Lambeau.
Oh yeah, I mean, Lambeau doesn't have all the extra stuff built onto it that SoFi does, you know, of course.
Right,
so,
it's more spread out.
Yeah.
It's just more spread out. And but I was like, I can't believe that it's only 70,000 people. It felt like 250,000 people in there. It really did. And it was full. Yeah. Dawn,
amazing. Super jealous.
Oh,
Dawn's always trying to get into fights, which is on public is what Joe's trying to get at here. Out there in the stands, fighting some Rams fans.
Oh yeah, that's what right. I do.
That's Dawn.
I was like, and the Padres were playing the Dodgers, and so the Packers fans, as they were leaving the stadium, a lot of them were doing, you know, Pack go, but some of them started. There's this chant that they do here for Padres, and it's kind of dumb. It's "Let's go Padres." It's like a singy songy thing. Let's go Padres. Do. Let's go.
Yeah. Super common like chant template, right?
So right, and so some of the Packers fans, probably from San Diego, I guess, were chanting "Let's go Packers" because the Padres and the Dodgers were and the Padres beat the Dodgers too. So it was kind of a rough day for those LA. Yeah. So the reason that the field is below ground level is because the LAX is there. And so they had to, so they had to design something that would work with the airspace. And the other cool thing I learned is, I guess the passengers on, I don't know if it's just American Airlines, but passengers on the planes have an interactive experience also with the stadium. So, because it's translucent. So they can see. And so I don't know what the interaction is exactly. I have to look into that. I know, isn't that cool?
Well, so Matt Schneidman did tweet a picture of like the top of SoFi as they were flying in. I was like, well, that's amazing. How is he so close? Why did he get such a good picture?
It's right there.
It's right by LX. That makes sense.
It's right there. Yeah. It really is. The lake is so beautiful. Yeah. And and I think that probably keeps it cooler for the players too. It was very cool in there. I mean, there was just a ton of airflow. I don't know if they must cool it with that many people, but I don't know. It's really not enclosed.
Yeah.
Like there's airflow throughout. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Amazing. Oh, I'm jealous. I never thought before, like, are there stadiums I want to go to? I never really thought through that, but now that you're talking about SoFi, it's like, I want to see that. That sounds amazing.
I know. I wanted you to come next time.
Maybe. That's a long trip.
Yeah. The Rams and the Chargers both play there. So, yeah. It is a little bit of a trek. And then I didn't even talk about the rally, but that's was a whole other trip. So, but anyway. So what do you have for us this week, Nettie?
Yeah, I've got 3 superlatives as usual. Interesting week, I think, in the sort of discourse around the Packers, because people are really freaking out about our pass rush or lack thereof, especially given how much we're paying to the people who are supposed to be generating that. So I feel like that conversation from what I was seeing this week really kicked off with an article that Justice Mosqueda wrote for Acme Packing Company called "It's Time to Be Concerned About the Packers Pass Rush." I'd say Justice is a very, very smart, very even-keeled writer and thinker. And so, he's not somebody who's going to give out a hot take. Every now and then he'll fire it off a little bit here and there. But something like this, it was a very well-reasoned article. It dug into the stats of this is actually a problem for these reasons, and we don't know how to fix it. Watch out. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. Hopefully they can kind of pick it up, but it doesn't look great. Unfortunately, a lot of the rest of the defense is so good. I mean, geez, Xavier McKinney alone, a one-man wrecking machine, but it's concerning. But, of course, Justice, an excellent writer, a very well-written article. So really worth checking out to go beyond the sort of is this bad, and beyond the sort of oh, this is terrible, to really get down to the facts and the figures behind it. Really excellent stuff as usual from Justice.
Great. I listened to Justice with Andy, and I think they touched a little bit on that, but
he did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Justice doesn't have his own podcast anymore. He doesn't like kind of front one like he kind of did for a while there, but he is usually on the Unpack pod with Tex Western, and he often he's the one with Andy during the season too. Yeah, so you can kind of hear him twice a week, most weeks, which is nice. So that was my first one, Dawn. My second one is and I should say that the title of that was best/scariest analysis.
I know.
Scary. A little scary there.
Scary.
So my second one then is best insight. So one of the podcasts we've talked about here before is the Leap 36 podcast. That's Lori Butler's podcast. He does it with Gary Ellerson. It's a fantastic show. It most of the time sounds like just two guys just kind of talking through some of their thoughts about what's going on that week with sports and everything else. And they have a hilarious rapport. It's a super fun show. And this week, Gary went on kind of a tangent that was actually really insightful. He was talking about the Romeo Doubs situation because, when Romeo suddenly didn't show up, it was kind of where's this coming from? It seemed just out of nowhere to the fans because the image that the team gives is definitely it's a family atmosphere. The receivers are selfless. They're working together. They're supporting each other. And I believe that's pretty much mostly true. But what Gary was saying here in the podcast was it's not just one thing, because it was reported out that Romeo was upset with the game plan for that week. And so he was I'm out of here. But so Gary's like, well, it wasn't just that. There's no way it was just that. It was probably a lot of things that kind of led up to that, like little things that went unaddressed, and maybe he didn't say anything, maybe he didn't complain or advocate, or maybe he did sometimes, maybe he said some stuff, maybe he, shared some criticisms that just were going unaddressed. But he's like, it's like when the analogy he used is so good. The analogy was like you're with your kids for a while and they're doing some little things that are kind of annoying, and you're just kind of keeping it in, you're just trying to stay like nice and level, but like enough stuff adds up until eventually like a kid spills the ketchup on the table. A very minor thing, but you blow up because all this has kind of like been building up. And so like, who cares? You can pick up the ketchup, or suddenly all of a sudden you're like yelling at your kids about nothing. And so it could be that kind of a thing. It's just been a cumulative effect of various things that was the, the straw that broke the camel's, we say hump back, the thing that caused everything else to the back, right? I was like, how do we say that? I've spoken English for many years now.
I know. Same here.
So I thought that was a really good insight, and the way how he talked about it was really interesting. So I mean, in general, people should be checking out that podcast. I feel like people don't talk about it enough. Leap 36 with Leroy Butler and Gary Ellerson. It's good podcast every week. Always a good listen. And so that was great. And then my last one, Dawn, best writing. So okay, this was so good. Wes Hodkiewicz. He just everyone loves him. He's amazing. So Wes did this article about the Melton boys, Bo and Max Melton, two NFL players who are playing each other this week. Max Melton coming to Lambeau. They could even be matched up against each other because, of course, Bo Melton, a wide receiver, Max Melton, a cornerback. So it could happen in this game, brother versus brother. Yes, which I'm excited about. But so Wes wrote this amazing article digging into the boys and their parents and their brothers' backstory, how they were raised, how they would play against each other growing up, and just really getting into like a whole lot of their story. And I just love it when they let Wes take a minute to write like the kind of long form player profile, and especially because it was like two players and their whole families. So just another work of amazing writing from Wes, who, man, I just love Wes. Just what a great guy.
Right. I listened to Unscripted and they mentioned that article, and so I put it on my bookmark. I hadn't had a chance, but he mentioned too about how the parents, the parents met at Rutgers University, and the dad played football for, I forgot, there was a story about the coach that the dad played football for, and then the mom played basketball. And then he wasn't going to go to Rutgers, and then he did go to Rutgers, and how he made that commitment. It was just so emotional, just that part of it. So I can't wait. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait. Sorry, I got a little distracted because there's somebody who's trying to deliver groceries, and for some reason they're lost, even though I left very good instructions on how to get here. And I'm like, I'm recording a podcast.
That's hilarious.
Anyway,
I mean, it's like a 10 to 15 minute read, but like worth every minute for sure.
Totally.
You should definitely check that out.
I love Wes. Wes had a fun tweet too. He had a tweet. What was it? Something about sandwiches. Did you see his tweet about sandwiches?
Yeah, there's a whole thing this week about people like basically give us your most cancelable food takes. And his was like, a sandwich doesn't need cheese or condiments, which was bananas. That's a terrible take. I won't cancel Wes for that because he has enough goodwill in the bank, but that's a rough one. Can't get behind that.
All right. Okay. Let's wrap her up so I can get with this dude who can't seem to think his way out of a paper bag.
Oh my goodness.
No, I don't normally have this problem. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's been texting me for 30 minutes. And so I just noticed.
Yeah. You got to get your groceries done.
Yeah.
Totally.
Sorry.
All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna say, make sure you are following our guest that we had today, Rach Marie, RACHMARIIE, over on Twitter. She's an amazing follow. You definitely, if you haven't been following her, what you doing? So check her out for sure. And otherwise, friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right. Because we love you, We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.